Hello and welcome to today's Verified Live. Let us start with those developments, those breaking developments coming to us from the US and the White House, because CBS, our partners in America, reporting the United States has indications that Iran is preparing to imminently launch a ballistic missile attack against Israel. We are actively supporting defence preparations to defend Israel against this attack. This is coming from a White House official. A direct military attack from Iran against Israel would carry severe consequences for Iran. And let me tell you also, in the last couple of minutes, an Israeli military spokesman has said we've not yet identified an aerial threat from Iran, but goes on to say that our aerial defence systems are fully prepared. So worth just repeating what we are hearing from the White House, a senior White House official, saying the United States has indications that Iran is preparing to imminently launch a ballistic missile attack against Israel. It, of course, all follows the start of Israel's ground invasion of southern Lebanon that happened overnight. So let's get right up to date, because we'll speak to Tom Bateman, our correspondent in Washington, in just a moment or two. But let's start this hour in Jerusalem and John Donaldson. And John, tell us more, because these reports are circulating. I just read out some of the latest from the Israeli military, with everyone there clearly on high alert.
Absolutely. We've just had a statement from Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari. He's the chief military spokesperson for Israel's military. And as you say they've received this information from their partners in the United States, and they're now on high alert, and that Israeli planes are patrolling the skies, and again reiterating what the White House official said, there would be serious consequences for Iran if there was a direct attack on Israel.
And John, in terms of the ground invasion, tell us the latest that is coming from the IDF.
Well, look, we had a fascinating briefing actually from Daniel Hagari earlier, and it wasn't really referring to what's happening on the ground now, but it was talking about what's been happening for months. So he released previously classified information and video saying that Israeli special forces have been carrying out regular raids almost daily over into the border area into southern Lebanon. They've been destroying tunnels, destroying infrastructure. They didn't meet any resistance. There was quite dramatic video of some of the tunnels and weapons caches they found. And this was something that we suggested had been going on possibly as far back as November, and that Israel might have spent some 200 nights carrying out raids such as that. So, you know, we've talked a lot over the last 18 hours or so about what's happened in terms of this latest invasion into southern Lebanon, but actually it seems like Israel has been preparing for this for the best part of a year.
I'll come back to you, John, in a moment or two, but I want to go to Beirut and who is there. And Anna, as I come to you, I'm reading the latest from the Lebanese state media saying there's been an Israeli strike quite close to a South Beirut hospital. So those strikes are still going on as we're speaking.
They are, Matthew. We heard again that strike just in the last half hour or so from here, as you say, the southern suburbs of Beirut, seemingly in the area of the Zara hospital. Now, we know that Israel were targeting Hezbollah's senior command structure here in the southern suburbs of Beirut, in Dahir, where they're based. We know, of course, that on Friday they killed the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. They say that they have killed many of Hezbollah's senior commanders, that the command structure at the top of the organisation really has been decimated. And yet we are still seeing what Israel calls precision airstrikes in the southern suburbs of Beirut. You can still possibly hear actually very loudly the sound of a drone in the sky above the city. That is something that is near constant now. Most times of the day or night you can hear a drone up there in the sky. So it shows that even as Israel is beginning that ground invasion in the south of Lebanon, even as its troops have crossed the border and are starting to try and target some of that military infrastructure that they say Hezbollah has dug in under there, they are still focusing on this capital city as well.
Anna, in terms of the invasion, do we know how far those Israeli forces have gone into Lebanon, and whether there is any direct fighting between Hezbollah and IDF forces?
Well, there were some reports of direct fighting earlier today that was then sort of dampened down by both sides. But I think there's quite an interesting question at the heart of all of this, Matthew, because what Israel have said is that they would carry out localised, targeted, limited ground attacks in that area in southern Lebanon. But actually the area that they are trying to secure is a very large one. Now, we know that there is a whole Hezbollah infrastructure, tunnels dug into the ground along the border, and that will clearly be Israel's priority. That is something that they want to get in and get rid of in order to secure the northern border of Israel and those communities, tens of thousands of people who've been evacuated from there. They say they want to return them home. But also that wider buffer zone is very large. It goes all the way up to the Litani River. And that is an area that was supposed to have been cleared of Hezbollah fighters and cleared of Hezbollah weapons after the war in 2006 under UN Resolution 1701. But that never really happened. And even though there was a UN peacekeeping force there, even though the Lebanese armed forces were there as well, that buffer zone was not really the buffer zone that it was supposed to be. So some indications that Israel really wants to try and clear that area of all Hezbollah military infrastructure and fighters, but that would be a much bigger operation than, words like limited and targeted would suggest.